you given any more thought to possibly suspending habeas corpus to not only deal with these insurrectionists across the nation, but also to continue rapidly deporting illegal aliens?
Yeah, is suspending who?
Habeas corpus. So.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather leave that to Christie. What do you think?
No, sir, I haven't been a part of any discussions on that.
Okay, so generally the concern is that a president will suspend habeas corpus in order to detain and imprison people when otherwise the government would be justified in doing so. But here we have something much worse going on. We have a president that does not even know what habeas corpus means and why it is important. And if you think I'm being unfair in my interpretation of that video, please let me direct you to this congressional hearing with Secretary Noem from 4 months ago.
Secretary Noem, what is habeas corpus?
Well, habeas corpus is a constitutional right that the president has to be able to remove people from this country and suspend their right to.
Let me stop you, ma'am. Habeas corpus, excuse me, that's incorrect.
Habeas corpus, Latin, that you have the body. A writ employed to bring a person before a court, most frequently to ensure that that person's imprisonment or detention is not illegal. Okay, what does that mean? The government has to provide a reason as to why they are detaining or imprisoning someone. The entire purpose is to protect anyone, including American citizens, from being unnecessarily and indefinitely detained. To be clear, this is not limiting the government's ability to detain and arrest criminals. They just need to provide a justifiable reason for doing so. The writ of habeas corpus can be suspended for very narrow circumstances, and it has been 4 times in our nation's history. Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution says the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Article 1 deals with the legislative branch, meaning Congress and not the president may suspend habeas corpus. And funnily enough, that distinction came into play the first time it was suspended. After the Civil War started, President Lincoln ordered the suspension of habeas corpus near railroad lines amid fears of a rebellion in Maryland that would endanger Washington. Federal troops arrested John Merriman in 1861. A writ was issued, and over a year later, in Ex parte Merriman, Chief Justice Taney issued an oral opinion saying it was clear that Congress, and not the president, can suspend the writ of habeas corpus. Addressing a special session of Congress, President Lincoln asked for retroactive approval, and Congress eventually did pass the Habeas Corpus Act, allowing the suspension during the Civil War. It was again suspended in 1871 in South Carolina during an ongoing crisis with the Ku Klux Klan. In 1902, in recently annexed Philippines, and in 1941 after the Pearl Harbor attack in Hawaii. And it's also worth noting that while habeas corpus was not suspended after the attacks of 9/11, there was an issue with detainees in Gitmo having a right to it. Well, in 2008, the Supreme Court ruled that Guantanamo Bay detainees had a constitutional right to habeas corpus, allowing them to challenge their detention before a judge, which led to some of them being released. And again, this entire legal principle is to protect from wrongful detention.